What's up, you guys? This is Adam Gillespie with Rancid and Sweaty Calves coming at you with yet another video. And Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 has just released in theaters over the past weekend. I will give you my brief synopsis of it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was rather fun, however it was also quite heavy. And if you don't want your kids to see a bunch of body horror on innocent little animals, then don't take them to this movie. But if you don't mind your kids seeing something that's a little bit horrifying, then yeah, sure, take them to it. But even I was having some difficulties with it. Nevertheless, the current domestic box office for this movie, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, is sitting at $118,400,000. The opening weekend, over the course of the Thursday showing through to the end of today, which is a Monday, it has made worldwide $289,300,000, which is nothing to laugh about. This movie probably cost about $250 million in total, so it's already reached just about its production cost, not including the marketing cost, which means that this movie probably has to break even around $650 to $700 million, because you can typically add on an extra 1.5 to 2 times the production cost for marketing. So taking that into account, and we're looking at the inflation rates of everything, a $17,500,000 opening day is not bad. Don't get me wrong, it's not bad. But if we go back to 2014 and look at the box office performance for the original Guardians of the Galaxy movie, we get to see some interesting numbers. So I'll go ahead and show you guys that real quick. If you go down here, August 1st through to August 8th. August 1st, over that opening weekend, and throughout that first week, it made $94,320,883, which is only slightly less than what it made. But if we look at the July 31st opening day, it made $11,200,000 in its opening day on July 31st. Now, take in mind something else. This was probably a Thursday showing. If I didn't really go back and check out the dates that it was initially released back in 2014. I probably should have done that to get more accurate representation of the situation going on here. But if we go back in time to about 2016 and a little bit further back during those eras, a Thursday showing was typically a late night showing. So you'd probably get an 8 to a 10 o'clock showing, and you would have that, right? And then you would go through the Friday and Saturday and Sunday, and that would be your opening weekend. So for this movie to have made $11,200,000 on its opening Thursday showing, which likely only had showings in the evening to the late evening to the middle of the night, it's basically outperforming itself already. But if we go over to the actual calculator here for inflation, let's take a look at that, shall we? In 2023, a $17,500,000 opening would be about $13,725.60 in the year 2014. Mind you, this was a half-day Thursday opening. So from probably about the noon on till the end of the day, it made $17,500,000 in 2023 money. But in 2014 money, it only just barely outperforms by about $2 million its predecessor, which is actually quite shocking, especially considering the fact that the original Guardians of the Galaxy movie only cost about $170 million to make, which means it only had to make about $350 to $450 million to break even. And this, although it's only cost about $250 to $280 million, it's going to have to break even around $600 or $700 million, which is just insane when you really think about it. And I think the initial count for the actual cost of the movie I heard was $250 million, which shocked me because that's $50 million per half hour of the movie when you really think about it, which is kind of ridiculous. But I also want to compare those numbers to the Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania numbers. In totality, the worldwide box office for this movie was $464 million. The domestic box office was $213,734,444. And if we look at the opening day, February 16th, it made $17,500,000. It made the exact same money on its opening day with a half day of movie showings as on Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which is not necessarily something that I would brag on if I were this movie. I mean, granted, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania did have some pretty poor tracking, and it has some pretty heavy drop-offs as we go down and we see all these different day-by-day analytics. And my guess is that the Guardians of the Galaxy movie will have a little bit better word of mouth, especially since it takes its tone and story a little more seriously. However, I don't know if it's really enough. I don't think it is. As much as I may have enjoyed it, and as much as I may have thought it was a relatively decent movie, if you ignore all the plot holes and ignore all the inconsistencies, the character work is spotty at best, and the story overall has problems that you can see even when you're not really digesting it for the purpose of dissecting it. There are things that you just can't help but notice which don't make any sense, and which, if they were to have been put into a better script, would have probably made the story a little bit more, a little bit more digestible, a little bit easier to actually see the reasoning behind why things happen without it being completely and totally absurd. But that's besides the point. My point is this. Marvel has killed their brand to the point where the only movie that people were actually excited for may not do better than Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And why did they kill their brand? They destroyed their brand because they wanted to chase some sort of mysterious modern audience that doesn't exist, that doesn't even have the money to pay for a movie ticket because they're so broke. Because their main job, their main life goal is not to make money and to provide for their families like average conservative families do, but is in reality to protest, to complain, to riot in the streets, and to make it out to seem like they're the victims when they're really not. That's the modern audience that Disney and many other major media corporations have decided to go for. They've neglected the classical Christian conservative families that have propped up America for the last 200 years or so, and have sought out this audience that is probably 0.01% of the population that doesn't actually care about supporting big businesses, and only cries racism when they don't get their way, as we saw with the Lilo and Stitch situation and the Little Mermaid situation, which is just ridiculous. And we see even more of this garbage with the Cleopatra situation, but let's not get into that. My point is, Disney has destroyed their brand in search of a base, of a fan base that does not exist, never will exist, and because of that, they've pushed away the people that propped them up in the first place. Families with little kids who want to watch princess movies. Disney has destroyed their connection to the nuclear family and the princess stories that have propped them up since they were first invented. And because of that, they're going to flounder. And they did the same thing to the Marvel brand, and they did the same thing to the Star Wars brand, and they're doing it over and over, and they're going to keep doing it until they either make you compliant or they go bankrupt. Because Disney has always been about disrupting the nuclear family, has always been about destroying the norms. This is what they get. Now, personally, I hope this movie does a little better than it is looking like it will do. Because, like I said, I enjoyed the movie. There were some pretty decent emotional payoffs, and I really, really liked the story of Rocket's background. But that's not enough to save the Marvel franchise. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment down below your thoughts, share this video with your friends, subscribe, and hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss a single video that I upload, and check me out on Rumble. I leave links to everything in my description below. I hope you guys have a great day and a great rest of the week.